I just feel like every day is like a different challenge for me. You know, I think, one of the biggest things when people getting into business, there's a lot of stuff that you need to know. And with me, I guess there just wasn't a book for that. This is what you do, the how-to. Since then, I've had people come to me and say, "Hey, Morris, let's help you here." Well, where were you when I needed it, So, I mean, it's been a road. It's been a rough time, on this path. I always take a few of the things that one of my uncles, actually it's two of my uncles, talked to me about. And that was it's a couple sayings that they have. And since that time, I've been invited to speak in schools, different things. And I'll always tell everybody the two that my uncle said, and I'll tell you my last one that I've since come up with. The first one is, one of my uncles had told me, and they were successful in their business. One had actually a bar. He was on the Indian reservation, Uncle Shelby, and then my favorite uncle, Uncle Phil, he had an exterminating business, Kill-A-Bug, in San Antonio, Texas. And one said you have to spend money to make money. Now, when you're just getting started in business, that's a hard one, because you're making money, and you really want to keep it, or maybe you want to do something with it, but you can't. And I think that's really hard for people to understand, because they want to get the money, then they want to go spend it, and then they don't have any money, and they're right back where they started from. But it's just like when I got started. I made that little bit of money, I paid my mom back, and then I took all of it, and I went and bought my own equipment, so I didn't have to ask anybody for anything again. Then I did another catering, and I took that and I bought more equipment. Then after several caterings and events, then I was able to have people help me. And it's just been that leapfrog ever since then. The other one, which leads a perfect segue right into my next one, is my other uncle said, you can never make all the money by yourself. One of the things that was happening, I was growing, but I was also working on the police department. And see, that was another thing people didn't realize. Police officers, you can do the extra jobs. There's nothing wrong with that. I've worked a few, but it's just that I had a talent, and I wanted to go and do that to make my extra money. So I was actually working the police department and cooking. A lot of times it was so funny. I love telling this story. But, I worked in an undercover capacity. I know I'm from here, but I did. And it's funny because I'd be at some of the events and I'd be cooking, and somebody would come up to me and, "Man, you look so familiar." And, excuse me, I chuckle about this one. But I would tell them, yeah, in my mind, I recognize them. I'm good at faces, not at names. And I'm like, "Yeah, I arrested you about 3 months ago, So that was always kind of funny. But, just being able to be out there, being able to do both of the jobs, that was a challenge. But like I was saying, the other thing that my uncle said is that you can never do it all by yourself. That's when I started having to bring in extra help. Then the one that I've come up with my saying that now I'll tell people is that one of the things you have to realize in whether it's doing business, you're doing education, employment, anything. And if you take this saying and you can plug it into any facet of life, which is, if you do nothing, you get nothing. If you're in a marriage, if you do nothing for that marriage, you're not going to get anything out of the marriage. You don't want to go to work, you're not going to be employed, you're not going to have money. So if you think about that, it really works. And I realized years and years ago, a lot of people think, well, my parents are supposed to give me this, they're supposed to give me that. My dad and my mother gave all of us a talent. And it's up to me to take that talent and do something with it. So now, now things are nice.